Hi, y'all. It's Brigitte Cutshall with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Retha Nichole. She is a speaker and a business and life coach. Can you say hi, Retha?
Hello, good to be here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm always loving to talk to new people, especially, and you're not that far from me. It's at the you're in Birmingham and I'm in the Atlanta area, and
Right,
and thank goodness for Zoom, right?
that's
That's
right.
this is the positive aspect of technology. I like to see that we're connecting. We have, even though we're from different parts of the world or states, whatever, we still have so much in common.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, and that's kind of why I started this podcast called Real Things Living, because we just people want to hear stories, and I think that's important. And I guess the first thing that I want to ask you, it popped into my mind, what made you want to go down that path of being a coach, right?
Well, I thought when you said that, we talked a little before the show, and so when you said that, I thought, oh wow, how this is gonna go deep and maybe a little dark fast. Um, but we can decide how deep we want to go into the answer. But what led me down this way was I went through a very traumatic experience 12 years ago. And coming out of that, I thought, I'm not the only woman who is having a traumatic life experience. Her experience may not be my experience, but there are plenty of women that are having this that are still having to work, meaning they either own the company, have a small business, or um, have an executive role. That's the women that I serve. So that's my niche. But because I worked for myself as an entrepreneur, which is why I chose that. And I thought, how do you do it? You need some help to get over the hump and to feel good about yourself and your life when you just don't. And so that was the purpose. That's how I landed here. I was already helping people in the way of years ago. We were trainers, we were mentors, and I was already doing that type of help in my field. I was a realtor. And so I trained other offices and things like that. And then I was a mentor for other realtors. So I already had a lot of that, but I wanted to do it in a different way coming out of what I had just been through because I just thought, I'm not the only one who needs help in getting over a life changing experience.
Right. Changes in life are normal, but some are harder than others.
Right.
And it just depends on the situation, the phase of your life. I should say phase of your life. But yeah, everybody's experiences are different, but we have that same connection. We understand each other, and it's better to get to seek help rather than suppress it, right?
Exactly. Right. I think, you know, when we go through things, I think it is meant for us to share it. Now, I'll caution you, I don't mean share it with the world.
Right,
I
right.
think there are safe spaces, right? So I'm big on wherever you feel safe, but because so many of us are do suppress it or feel the battle with loneliness or this is happening to me. Why is this happening to only me? And I think that is because we don't share enough, good and bad. We don't share enough in our safe spaces. I think we do because of how social media allows us to share. And so that feels like we're sharing, but it's different.
Right. I never shared anything. I'm from that generation. You and I are probably the same age group, generation, whatever you want to call it. It was my sons that convinced me, my older one, to start blogging because I had some really weird, unexpected health issue because we didn't talk about this kind of stuff, right?
No, right.
And so I shared enough to make me feel a little bit better. And my mother, I mentioned before, we recorded, she's from, she's a married military spouse, right? But she's from Europe. She's from France, a married American soldier. She saw a lot of stuff and experienced stuff. and she became a psychologist because that was her way to deal. She saw lots of violence because of military spouses. People don't realize
Mm,
that. And
yeah,
then I was the military child and I saw things and I'm like, I am not going to marry, get in that environment because I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. I
that's
enjoy
right.
the freedom and all the different exploring, but we never saw my dad ever. And it's just the so a lot of women, they take their experiences and try to help others in certain ways. And she did it with be a psychologist, and you did it by coaching. I think women naturally want to help other people,
Yeah,
right?
I think so. I think it's the nurturing that is just automatically placed in us, that, and so you just nurture in different ways, and for different reasons. And so I think my clients would probably say I'm a huge nurturer, right? Because I always want to know, and I ask a lot of questions, because I think if you ask better questions, you get better results for your mental state, the way you're doing things, all of that. And so the nurturer in me just wants to ask you so many questions to figure out, really to help you walk through wherever you are.
Well, and I like the aspect who that you weaved in the business aspect because that's important. Women, we are, we're not just in the back, I should say the back bedroom or whatever you want to call it. We are the front and center a lot of times, making a lot of decisions and helping. And we're very detailed. We are curious. I like that aspect that, as you said, asking questions because you're going to have the right, make your client or whoever your patient, whatever you want to call them, um, think about stuff that they probably never thought about before because you're listening. I think that is a critical skill
Right.
set is to ask and then listen, and you're not reacting. You're helping them deal with whatever it is they're dealing with. My issue in the past was, you're a girl, you're too nice. I was told that. And
Mm.
I wanted to give the middle finger, but but that's just my personality. Don't mess with Bridget. Okay.
Right, right, right.
I mean, I'm just, what I'm saying, don't mess with me. But I just thought so that was a motivator to me, Retha, to do well in business. All right, I'll show you. And that's I didn't say it out loud, but that was my motivator. And
Yeah, I think I say all the time that if your life is a mess, it will affect how you do business. If your business is a mess, it will affect how you do life. So
yeah,
I say that because people ask, why do I do both? Why did I decide to do both? And I said that because coming out of the trauma, I still needed to work. I needed to function in that way. Well, how do I do that when all I can think about is this, or I'm worried about this? And then it you can get past that and get into business again and try to do it to the best of your ability, and then all you think about is business. It's like, no, there has to be some sort of a balance. And I know many people don't like that word balance, and they say
right,
there is no such thing as being balanced. But I always go, well, if you know the definition, it's ever changing. It's not, steady one thing. And so we will always be changing and evolving. And so you just try to get that to the best of your ability in life and in business, personal
right.
and professional, which is what I
As
say.
you're talking, especially if you're a woman who has children and you're working and all that, it's a difficult thing, but you want to do the right thing for your family. You want to support them. And I think the hardest thing for me was when I have sons too. I have two, but the hardest thing for me is when became adults because we help them so much, right? And
Oh, yeah.
we are relying on them more than I relied on them more than I realized. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. There are a couple of things I say. I had boys, I have all boys, three boys. And so I knew when I had them that I wanted to parent so that they wouldn't be like the guy in college who didn't know how to wash his clothes and who didn't could only fix an egg, he couldn't cook anything else. And so that's one side of it. But then the other side is um preparing them for life. I sometimes, boys or girls, as parents, you want to do so much for them and you want the best for them. And you look up and they're entering high school and you're like, huh, you don't know how to pump gas, right? And we've bought you a car. Or, huh, you don't know how to shop for groceries, where you just pick an item and are you paying attention to the brand or the price and if it's on sale or any of that. And so I try to say a lot online, and if I'm on mom centric shows, like, you should start gifting them things based on their age. And the reminder for you would be their birthday. So you just turned 10. You should probably start doing your own laundry. And women around the world gasp because it's like a 10-year-old doing his own laundry. And I'm like, yeah, because then you have so many more years ahead to show him or her how to do it the right way instead of, them leaving for college and still coming back with their laundry and
Oh yeah.
things like that, and cooking and just life skills to better help them be good humans, and then if you ever think they're going to find a partner, be a good partner. you know
Right. I agree with you on that. I taught my sons how to do laundry too, and I taught them how to cook. I
yeah,
prefer I people think that's I'm one of those people. I like to cook because I find it to be creative. It is relaxing to me. I there's recipes out there, but I call it Bridgetize them because it's everybody's taste buds are a little different, right?
yeah,
And I taught them to you can tweak it, but you have to start from baseline, but it's okay. And another thing I thought it's important is to talk about money with it. That's real important.
yeah. That's that's a sneaky generational thing that gets passed down, that I call it sneaky because no one pays attention to it until it's probably too late, right? And I knew that my parents didn't help me with that. They, you know, we didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about how to spend, how to save, how to give, save, live, which is what we do in this house. We didn't talk about that. And so that was big for me, again, as a parent, to like cut that generational thing off and start something new, because it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I was like, hey, so you're not good with money. You you're
we
not good
aren't
with money.
we aren't perfect in any way, and it's okay. Just why you have to. I think it's better when you're younger to
Yeah.
to understand it a little better. And
Yeah. And so when I realized that I wasn't good with money, I was like, oh, I should help them be better. Yeah.
right, it's just so much different advice out there, and we just want to. I talk about planning for the future a lot too. I just try to. I was fortunate, like I said, my mom's third husband. She got. They're all military guys. That's another reason, Retha, I didn't want to like marry someone in the military, but he was the really, I mean, I love my real dad, but I didn't see him much. Vietnam veteran. But my my mom's third husband, he's the one that did teach me how about money. And because I didn't have a clue, he
Yeah.
taught me how to back then you had to write checks. You had to make sure, how to
Yeah.
balance it. You didn't have online bank accounts, guys. And so you had to make sure. And he taught me how to drive a stick shift.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
which is he bought me a really cheap car, but which is fine when I was 18. But he told me if I could drive a stick shift, I could drive anything. So I thought
Yeah.
that
My
was
dad,
important.
my dad did tell me that too.
Yeah, and so that was the best thing ever. I could drive a stick shift now. I'm not going to change the oil though, Aretha. And he tried to take me on the military base, which I'm like, nah, I'm sorry. I'll
But
stop at
we can
that.
do those things. I made a list when I have three boys, and so we call them the bigs and the littles because there's the bigs, and then there's an age gap, and then the little guy. But
Yeah.
when the bigs were in high school, I I don't know, I thought about all of those things. And so I made a list and I asked on social, I was like, what are some things that you are glad that your parents taught you that may not seem as important now, but theoretically it could be. And so I had on there change a tire,
Yeah.
um change your oil. I did put that on there, and my husband did it because I was like, I'm still out on that, but I think for a guy that would be good
Right.
for y'all.
Right.
But go grocery shopping. Have one dish that you can make. You said you like to cook. I love to bake. So have I believe that everybody should know how to make a pound cake. It makes your house smell good. It's just a great generic cake, you know. And balance, I put balance a checkbook, but I know they don't have those anymore. But I just was wanting them to learn how to balance their budget per se.
That's
We
true.
did
Not
that.
overspend. Right.
Yeah, not overspend and or live beyond your means, paycheck to paycheck. And um they were in high school, so open your own bank account, like learn how to do that, because still to this day, there are places that still take an application where you have to go in and physically write things down. Our bank was one of those. And so they did that. They could have done it online. And they asked me, like, we can't just open this online. I was like, no, no, you can't. We got to go physically to the bank so you can see Tom sitting there waiting for you, because that's a twofer, right? It's filling out that application and then having conversation with the human, like learning how to do those things.
That's really critical. That's, that I like that idea to go in person to open an account because you're interacting. You're going to pick up on, I should say cues, but that other person's going to ask you questions you didn't think about.
They're going to make small talk.
Yes, I think that is so important. Everybody is important in our world, I think. We all are.
Yeah.
And we all have our I should say our gift, but our purpose in life. And to me, I'm seeing your purpose is to help others get through life and work and balance it out. And one thing I saw on your not your website, I can't remember about discipline is freedom. I saw that. That got my attention. What does that mean? Discipline is freedom.
Well, because for me, I think, well, it really speaks for itself, but it's because we live in a day and age where there is a constant stream of something always coming at us, right? If you, excuse me, are older, TV used to go off. I don't know if y'all remember that, but TV actually went off at midnight. That was it. Um, and and so did the radio. Like you could tell that the DJ disc jockey was no longer there. It was like music on a recording. And so you didn't get a ton of commercials and things like that. And so you had time to rest your mind in a sense. And so when you were constantly consuming and constantly busy, you become less disciplined. I think most people don't recognize that, but you do, because then you're craving the consumption of something. And so discipline is freedom because it allows you to come out of consuming at such a high rate and decide what you want for you. And that's a good life hack, is to know you and to know what you want and what brings you joy and what lights you up. And you can only get that if you're disciplined. If you're not disciplined, then you are more apt to the waves and the pressures and the FOMO of the world. And so that's why discipline is freedom. I say it a lot so that people can ask that question that you asked, or just try to be curious about what it means. Because the more disciplined you are, the more freedom you will find for yourself.
Right. It's your time.
Yeah,
Uh, right. It's you, and you should have control over it. And
yeah,
I agree with that. I don't have notifications at all. I don't want
yeah.
that because it's very distracting. And I keep my phone turned. I never have my phone in my bedroom just because I don't want to, like, oh, because you might get a text from somebody. I don't want to know someone's texting me later. You know what I'm saying? I'll find out in the morning. But that's what I've learned, that I totally agree with you on that. We have to discipline what we're the information we put around ourselves, because it can cause unnecessary stress.
It does. I tell clients all the time on the business side, I say, probably in the second or third meeting, I'll say, hey, one of the things that I'm going to say, I say it early because depending on how you work, it may take some time for you to get used to this. But a goal of mine is to get email off your phone. It's not necessary.
Yeah, it's not.
Really not. And it's such an early morning distraction. And you wonder why you start the day on skates, why you start the day in such a hurry phase. And a slow morning is your best friend. It is, slow mornings are your best friend. And so things like that on your phone are big distractions.
It is. I agree with you about the email stuff. If I have to do anything work related, it's going to come from my desktop email, because I don't well, one thing, I don't want to screw something up, because I can't type on my phone as well as I do on a keyboard. But I agree with you on all this stuff. We just need to be aware, and I think more people are pulling back, which I think is good. I think that's they're saying that the media, I should use the word media, that they are throwing lots of clickbait out there, and it's stressing people out. Is that the right word, clickbait?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's fear stuff, and it annoys me because I want to, you know, not everything is perfect in life, right? And I just think we need to surround ourselves with the right things that you're talking about. You need to be disciplined. I totally agree with that. I don't I make time. One of the reasons I have dogs is because they need to be walked. You know what I'm saying? I have to go outside, and they remind you to be in the moment. That's something you have to do in the morning. And some people think, oh, they're just so expensive. But they mean a lot to me for some reason. I just connect to animals as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I think find your thing, right? Right now, I am on this iced coffee thing, and it just brings me so much joy to try new recipes. It reminds me of young baking me, because it brings me so much joy to try new recipes
yes,
and to get new flavors and immerse myself in that creativity process. And so um, I think you just have to find a joyful thing for you. It's why one of the reasons that I believe wholeheartedly in hobbies. And I think that not enough people have hobbies anymore, but there are still hobbies out there. They still exist. There are still tons of things for people to do. I bowl in a league on Mondays and I love it. Um, and it's because it's something that brings me joy. It gives me with other humans in person, where there are conversations, be it small talk with a team you've never bowled with before, and it gets you moving. So I think I'm a huge proponent of finding your joy, and in order to do that, then you have to get out of what everybody else says is cool or what other people like
right.
and decide what you like right now.
It definitely gets you unstuck. I like that. You have to find, it doesn't have to be hours every day, but you have to make
No.
time for it. And
Yeah, that coffee is one coffee in the morning and
that's
off to
all
the
you gotta
races,
do.
but yeah.
I, as you were talking about that, I started doing, I never was a Starbucks fan, but during COVID, I gave everything was, remember, everybody had to wear masks, everything was like shut down. So I gave all the workers that looked so stressed, I gave them some coloring books. And
Oh,
I was not a movie star, I was like a celebrity to them because I made them feel better.
that's right.
I just like, it's not a big deal for me to give you coloring books. People are like, why do you do that? Like, because I wanted to connect with them. And then now, if I go there now, all my cups will have "Hello, Bridget" on there, and then they're like, "Hey," and waving at me. Some of them are still working there, and you have
Right.
to respect. They like doing that. I don't know if I could be a barista, but I'm just saying you just don't know. And I also actually created this coloring book myself, and gave it to a bunch of teachers and students because I was trying to help people. I like to create books, okay, by the way. And I did it for I wanted to help them,
Yeah.
to relieve. Some people enjoy, like, it was like a little hobby. It's coloring with a pencil, not a crayon, but it's little images that I had pictures I had converted to outlines. Do you know what I'm saying? So you could color it any way you wanted.
Any way you want to.
And it's people like that idea. That's just, maybe I needed that too, right?
Right.
I needed to do it too. And
Yeah, it helps you to slow down. I think I like coloring books. I have probably 4 right now. Um, and I like the old school word search because I used to do
yeah,
it with my grandmother, so I still do that. It's another thing that helps you to slow your brain down from consumption all the time. So those things, that's something so simple. And so you taking that into a Starbucks, of course it makes you a celebrity because
they
you
were like,
see them
yeah.
right there. Like she sees me.
Hmm.
This is not her buy me a drink, or which I heard Starbucks people don't like for you to pay it forward. It makes their day hard. But it's
Right,
like you see me as a person because you're giving me something that has nothing to do with where I work, right?
right. I gave them all like enough for all the workers there. I'm like, just
Yeah.
share this with everybody. And they cried. And I wasn't expecting that. But I just knew, like, as a mom, right? That's kind of what it is. I saw the stress that they were,
Yeah.
or we all were experiencing, all the stress, all those masks on. And I just wanted to uplift people in the way that I thought would be helpful. Not
Yeah.
everybody is into the coloring books, whatever, but if you didn't want it, they could hand it off. You could pass it on to someone else, right? And that's kind of what it is. That's why I think just books and or just little gifts in general. And I think there's pros and cons to tech. Like we talked, I like Zoom because I can talk to you. And so I guess one last thought I had in my brain here is, where as a coach, how do you see AI affecting? I mean, people talk about this all the time, and I think we need to. It's not going anywhere, and we just need to understand it. And so, what do you recommend to people if they have stress about that?
I think with everything, find out how it can work for you. Find out what it truly can do for you. Why do I say that? Well, that will help you find the good because you're not going to look for anything bad. And so when we first were introduced years ago to social media, there was bad there too. When we were introduced to the internet, oh my gosh, everybody once it gets that. When we first were introduced to email, everybody was against that. It was like, no, that's going to stop us from having meetings. And we just, what will that mean? And if anybody can remember this, if you worked during this time, it was like, well, we can send an email now so we can stop couriering things to us and
Yes,
it'll save us money. And so there will always be two sides to everything. And so in order to find the good in it, you find out how it will work for you. If you ask me, I would say I believe the best about AI is,
I do
do
too.
I know that there is a darker side to it, that there is bad, it can go off the rails? 100%. Do I think that it's going to take over the land? Well, listen, we said that when robots were introduced and when Back to the Future came out and we were concerned about flying cars. And we said that when grocery stores introduced self checkout. And that was so long ago. But if you remember when grocery stores entered self checkout, they said, "Oh, in 10 years, no one will check out with humans again." And here we are, that most stores have lessened the amount of self checkouts that they have because of theft and things like that. But
Yes.
it's usually because, hey, we're headed in the wrong direction. This is a good thing and it can be used in moderation. So I tend to lean on the same side of that for AI. I think that if you investigate it for yourself, just you, just test it out for you. Don't get on Reddit. Don't read websites about what it is and all of that. Just test it for you before you do major research. And then you possibly could be better for it, because the same could be said. There is a dark side to Instagram.
Yes.
There's a bad side to Facebook. There's a bad side to Reddit. I mean, so that's that's my take on AI.
I like that. I like your perspective of looking at the good, and I think that's important. As you were talking, mentioned earlier about the email stuff, that brought me freedom, by the way, because I was my role when I got out of college, I had to travel a lot, and if I
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
traveling, like, why do I have to go drive to the office, right? So I could just check my email at home, and what it is, it wasn't. Sure, it was slow internet. You plugged it in your computer
Oh yeah.
or phone, not the or the phone, but it was brought me freedom, right? I bad enough that I was having to travel, which is, you know, and then that I saw that the good out of that. It
That's right. There,
and
there was good to it.
there was a good to it, and I just appreciate. I'm very curious naturally, so I think we need to be open to this. It's gonna, who knows what the next thing will be, Retha. We don't
There
know.
will always be another thing though.
Oh, right. Another thing. And we just, as we said before, started recording, we need to work with the younger generation together to help. We can give them some guidance a little bit, but then they can also give us guidance because we're from that generation. Retha and my understanding is we were there pre tech, and now we're like major tech. So we grew up in both. And so the younger generation, they're going to appreciate, hopefully, having that experience that we had. That's we can share them with them because it's just like there's so much happens constantly. The earlier, 100 years ago, it was the Industrial Revolution, right? So now we got like I guess the AI revolution happening. Who knows how fast it will go, but the internet changed a lot of stuff. I think it wasn't the federal government the one that invented it. I think I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I followed the guy who um created Chat GPT.
Mhm.
And but I just think there's good and bad to
There's a
everything.
good right. I
Good
one
and
of my
bad to everything. And based on this view of what you're looking, you will find. If you're looking for the
right.
bad, you're gonna find the bad. If you're looking for the good, you'll find the good.
And I think a lot of people don't realize like IBM's behind a lot of this. They don't know that
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
they are. And that was one of my clients back in the day. They were at one point, people don't realize they published children's books. And so I helped them. They don't do that anymore, but they were trying to dive a little bit into that to help kids understand technology a little bit with this children's book.
Mhm.
And it, who knows? It's just an amazing world. I appreciate all the experience that we have. And like you said, if you have a bad experience, it happens, some are worse than others, but we reflect on that and it helps you move forward. And that's what to go back to your coaching, that's what you're helping people do to move forward.
That's the goal.
I, I love what you're doing and helping so many people. So Where can people find you, Retha, and find out more about you?
So you can always go to my website, which I'm sure she will put a link to in the show notes and however that happens. But you can go to my website. I do have a website still to this day. And a lot of people like to hear from me on social. Instagram is my favorite. So I'm on Instagram a lot. I give a lot of info there with tips and things, questions, because I love questions I ask you to think about. And I usually record something every day there. And then if you are familiar with Instagram, the link for my website is in my bio.
Okay, that's awesome. For those that are listening, like she said, I will include those links in the description. And I really appreciate your positive attitude. We really, really need this perspective.
Yay.
Life is messy, but it's can make it fun, right? Get some joy out of it, right?
Yeah, that's I say create a life that you love. It's all about you.
That's true. Again, thank you so much for your time, Retha.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.